Perfect timing, as I was just mentioning that I'm sick and have been sick for a long time. Wellness week. Wellness week. In this story, all the gnomes get sick because it doesn't that happen in winter, right? So this is honestly a very healing week. So even if you're sick now, you might want to look ahead to Wellness week because our gnomes get sick and they care for each other. Puddle Bloom has great remedies for his friends, and you get to see again all of these gnomes come along, gnomes and friends care for each other while they're sick in the winter. And a really, really lovely song, Rest Now, Be Well, is one that you can absolutely sing to your children if they are sick while you're by their side. It's a very sweet one. So our story, Sick Gnomes. So our gnomes get sick. So Hamilton wakes up and notices that Thumbkin is sick with a fever. He scurries to Puddle Bloom's house. How do I care for him? And of course, Kelly says, I'm ready for Wellness Week. Me too. And then Morrison is there, and Rudabug has a stomach ache, and Petty Pum is there, and he's sneezing with a cold. So they all have different ailments. And so Puddle Bloom gets them everything they need for each of them. And I think it's willow bark for the fever and elderberry and all of these wonderful remedies, and sends them off to care for their friends. And so Hamilton comes back to care for Thumbkin and sings this really sweet song, as I mentioned, Rest Now, Be Well. He's at his bedside, caring for his dear friend, saying, I'm here, I'm gonna take care of you. And it is really, really precious. And before this, I got a little ahead of myself. Puddle Bloom sings this also beautiful song, To Care for a Friend. And it's about how we care for our friends and how it's an honor to care for our friends. And when we care for them, then they might care for us. And so it's just, again, friendship, love, caring for each other. A lot of really, really great things for children to just hear and let it sink in. And then to model what that looks like when we're all sick in the middle of winter. So To Care for a Friend, Rest Now, Be Well, really, really sweet songs. So our morning activity, day one, Play-Doh. We're going to do a lavender Play-Doh. You can dye this purple if you'd like. You don't need to, that's optional. But you're just essentially adding dried lavender and lavender essential oil to that Play-Doh to just, it makes it just smell so lovely. It's this wonderful sensory experience that just is beautiful. And then our main lesson is hand washing. Let's take the time and make this a lesson. So of course, hand washing is really important when we're all sick, but I love actually taking the time to stop and make it a lesson. And really, we can just, okay, go wash your hands, right? Let's practice. Let's take the time to, and I like to use our Make Our Bread song and change the words. This is how we wash our hands so early in the morning. This is how we wash our hands so early in the morning. And you can sing it because you should wash your hands for about 20 seconds. So it's a song you can sing to make sure they're taking their time washing their hands. If you have a group or a bunch of siblings, you can do this in a sudsy bin of water or just take them to the sink, but take the time, slow down, and remind them what proper hand washing looks like. Because again, in life, it can just be, we all do it. So it's just like, let's revisit, let's make this a lesson. Let's remind ourselves what it looks like to wash our hands to try to stay well. So hand washing. This is how we wash our hands. Then our day 2 morning activity is ginger lemon tea. I love this recipe. I love this activity because it is very healing. Our whole baking day is a very healing day. You'll make ginger lemon tea and you'll make chicken noodle soup or just a vegetable soup, and it's really, really lovely. So you'll get ginger root, you'll get lemons, you'll get honey, and just in a big pot, you can have your children squeeze the lemons, grate the ginger, pour the honey. A lot of, again, great little skills in there. Pouring the honey, you pour water in, you're squeezing the lemons, you're grating the ginger, a lot of great things. All go into a pot, add some water, and just simmer that for about 15 to 20 minutes, and then strain it out, and it is a really, really lovely ginger lemon tea, excuse me. And of course you can add as much honey or as little, if the ginger can be a little spicy, so you can refine your quantities if you want it to be more lemon honey or more ginger if you like it a little on the gingery side. That's up to you. But again, as I'm sick here. Then our main lesson is chopping vegetables. So even this is baking day, we're going to do this in a little bit different way. And I'm gonna actually mention these little wooden knives that we have on our store that are in our baking supply kit. I actually designed these because I did not see a wooden child's knife on the market that I liked. I wanted an ergonomic handle, and I couldn't find one, so I made it. So if you see this, I actually designed this because I love when children can come alongside making food. Obviously, it's a whole core part of our curriculum. And I think it's so important for them to see the effort that goes into making food, and they're always more willing to eat it when they have made it themselves. So this is where this little knife can come in handy. Chopping vegetables, and this is great especially for parsley. If you're doing carrots, I would probably pre-slice them a little bit because it's still just wood, but it's still a really great one. This works well for celery. Even if you've used it for apples, for apple week or apple pie, there's a lot of things that this can work really well for. Of course, it's not a real knife, so it's not going to go through everything, but it's a really nice introductory knife, especially for like 2-year-olds, little ones, to really just get the feel of what it's like to hold a little knife that's their size, but still the proper shape, little spaces for their hands. So chop your vegetables. You can pre-prepare a few if you want: carrots, celery, parsley, all of those things. And then I have a chicken noodle soup recipe, or a vegan or vegetarian hearty veggie soup. So a few options based on what your family likes, but very nourishing. And just, they can chop the garlic or the celery, the carrots, the parsley, all of that, and put that into a soup. So you have your tea, you have your soup, and it's just nourishing. Will they be restocked anytime soon? They're sold out on the site. Good question. I see Winter Garden team typing, so maybe Jamie can answer that for me. Hopefully they'll be back soon if they're out of stock. I didn't realize they were out of stock, but hopefully soon. In stock by Wednesday. Wonderful. They'll be back in stock on Wednesday. Thank you, Jamie. Alrighty, so we have lots of nourishing things. Also, just another little plug, these Winter Garden mugs are also very great for like soup. I've had soup out of them. They're really nice and big. So if you want to use this for, I think these are out of stock, but big mugs, soup. I apologize if you hear some awful noises of the garbage truck. Hopefully you don't hear that, but it's loud for me. So. Mugs speaking of mugs will be restocked. They take a while to make. We are going to be hopefully making a few new characters of mugs before we restock. They'll at least hopefully be restocked by the time we launch our summer. So maybe at the end of spring. And Jamie can answer the apron question. Lots of restocking questions going on. So mugs, probably by the end of spring. We will hopefully have a few new mugs to add to the collection. Hamilton might get a mug, and we'll definitely be restocking the Winter Garden mug and Petty Palm mug. No garbage truck sounds. Wonderful. Okay, I'll ignore it then. All right, so day 2 is our cozy healing day, ginger lemon tea and soup. Day 3, we have a lovely little, sorry, my brain, a lovely little activity for you. I will show you our lavender hand warmers here. I'll show you what these look like and why I love this activity. So our lavender hand warmers, this is what they look like. They are really nice and cozy, and I love that kids can make these. These are something they can even go to sleep with. They're really, really lovely. One important note for materials here, usually in felt crafting, it doesn't really matter if you need to get cheap acrylic felt. That's really fine. I use it all the time. But for this, since this is a warming thing, I would really recommend using wool or cotton for both your yarn and your wool and your little bag, because acrylic can melt. So just a note about safety there, that the natural wool and cotton is going to be much safer to make sure you can heat this up and have it good. I see people talking about a pearl mug. We do have plans for the fairies. Maybe not mugs, but you'll see eventually. So the fairies will get their own drink set, and it'll be really lovely. So stay tuned for that eventually. Anyways, that's, if you want to hear our ideas, ambassadors. Anyways, so lavender hand warmers, as I mentioned, natural materials, I would highly suggest just to keep these safe. You guys are clever. I'm not going to say anything. I will neither confirm or deny that idea. So if you're if you're watching the replay, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about because it's in the chat. Some fun product ideas happening in the chat box there. All right, back on track. Lavender hand warmers. What I love about this is that the children, because we use this little bag, so you fill this little cotton sachet with rice and dried lavender, and you seal it up. Then the child can sew this together, and these holes can be large. Of course, if we were to just put rice in this pouch, we would need to have it sewn really tightly, right? But because everything is secured in this, you can cut 2 pieces of felt, punch little holes all the way around, and then again, thread that blunt needle, thread that yarn. Another great needlework activity where they can sew around the edges here and make their own little pouch. And again, it doesn't matter how neatly or sloppily they might sew it, because everything is secured in the bag inside. So it gives them a great opportunity, again, to feel like they really made something without us worrying about rice getting everywhere. So like I said, fill this with rice, and again, another little scooping activity. Scoop, in we go, tie it up nice and tight. Cut your bag, make sure to, when you cut your felt, to make sure you have a nice amount of give around that bag to make sure that, you know, it doesn't, that you can actually close it around it. Punch little holes and then allow your children to just sew it up. You can guide them. You guys are really funny. Okay, great chat. Sew that up, and then you have a little hand warmer. For warming these, easiest way is if you have and use a microwave, you can pop it in the microwave for a little bit. If you don't, I know a lot of you do not have a microwave these days, you can fill up a hot water thermos, let that sit, dump it out, put it in there. Residual heat will heat it up. If you have a wood stove, you can just put it on the top there. If you have like a proofing setting, like a 90-degree proofing setting of your oven, you could also place it in there, but make sure it's still very low. We don't want to like cook these. My go-to for wool cotton felt, I think we have some on our store. Jamie can confirm that we should have wool felt on our store for this activity. So that's where I'll point you. Otherwise, I know there's a lot of other kind of Waldorf-ish craft stores out there for wool felt sheets. So lavender hand warmers, very, very cozy. And then our painting day, we're just gonna do a simple wet on wet watercolor, red and blue if you want. You can really choose whatever color you want at this point, but just rhythmical, predictable, get back to wet on wet painting. You can kind of see how their painting is evolving over the year, and use whatever color you like. I feel like, you know, we're Wellness Week, because of all the lavender, it feels like a purpley week for me, so I like to use red and blue to make purple.